Hello students, welcome to today's English learning class. Let's continue with the story we started yesterday. The Summer of Beautiful White Horse. As I told you, this is the story of two Armenian boys, Aram and Murad. They belonged to Geraklanian family and their family had been honest for many centuries for their honesty. And Aram, the narrator, is telling a dilemma that he confronted one particular day when his cousin Murad came to him sitting on a white beautiful horse and offered him to accompany him in the horse ride. So he was to decide whether he was going to be the part of this horse ride or not. This particular spectacle of seeing Murad sitting on a beautiful white horse put Aram into a fix. He couldn't believe the sight he had seen because he knew that no member of their family could afford the luxury of possessing a horse, and moreover his conscience didn't allow him to believe that he could even go to the extent of stealing to get a horse. Fine. So no member of the Geraklanian family could be a thief. I am going to start from the portion I have marked red at the beginning. No member of the Geraklanian family could be a thief. Yeah. I stared first at my cousin. Aram first looked at his cousin Murad, then he looked at the horse. There was a pious stillness and humor in each of them. He could observe a pious, a quite peaceful stillness and a sense of humor in both of them. Which on the one hand delighted me. This entire thing was on one hand was delighting him, and on the other frightening him. Delighting because he was very fond of horses. It had been his long cherished desire to get an opportunity to ride on a horse, and it was frightening him because he feared that it would bring a bad name to their family that had been known for honesty. Murad, I said, where did you steal this horse? So finally, Aram asked Murad where had he stolen the horse from. Leap out of the window, he said, if you want to ride. Instead of answering to the question asked by Aram, Murad simply offered him to jump out of the window and accompany him to ride. So when somebody is asked a query and the person doesn't respond, so the person asking question realizes that there is something wrong at the bottom. So since Murad avoided the question, it was clear to Aram now that he had stolen the horse. It was true then he had stolen the horse. There was no question about it. There was no doubt about it. He had come to invite me to ride or not as I chose. Well, it seemed to me. Now the ball was in Aram's court. He had to decide whether to join that seemingly dishonest act or not. Well, it seemed to me stealing a horse for a ride was not the same thing as stealing something else, such as money. So Murad convinced his mind. His conscience was in confusion. One part of his heart was telling him to go and join the horse ride. One part of his heart was telling him not to get into this act of dishonesty because the horse, by now it was clear that it was a stolen horse. So somehow he convinced that side of his personality that was asking him not to join. It seemed to me stealing a horse for a ride was not the same thing as stealing something else such as money. So he convinced himself with this logic that stealing a horse for a ride could not be considered an act of stealing. Stealing money is different thing, stealing a horse is different thing. For all I knew, maybe it was not stealing at all. So he didn't term it to be an act of stealing. If you were crazy, he further says, if you're crazy about horses the way my cousin Murad and I were, it wasn't stealing. So it means he is trying to say that a person who is crazy about a particular thing, he can steal that particular thing, and in that case it won't be an immoral act. So he's justifying that in the garb of being crazy. It wouldn't become stealing until we offered to sell the horse. He further convinced himself by saying that selling the horse would be considered an act of stealing if they offered to sell the horse. But they were not going to sell the horse. Stealing a horse for the sake of pleasure and if you are so fond of horses, so it cannot be termed as an act of stealing, convincing this way to himself. He got agreed to join Murad for the horse ride. Let me put on some clothes, he said finally. All right, he said, but hurry. So this way it was decided. I leaped into my clothes. Aram was so excited that he wore his clothes in a hurry, in excitement. Leaping means to put on clothes in excitement. I jumped down to the yard from the window and leaped up onto the horse behind my cousin Murad. So I joined him in the morning horse ride. That year we lived at the edge of town on Walnut Avenue. Avenue means a road, an area, a road. We lived on Walnut Avenue. Behind our house was the country. There were vineyards. This pronunciation is vineyard. It's not vineyard. There were vineyards. Vineyards means it's a place where there is thick overgrowth of vines, creepers, hanging plants. The plants growing, taking the spot of a wall or other tree. Orchards were there, orchards, fruit gardens, irrigation ditches were there. Ditches, small uh, ditches to pass the water through to be supplied to the fields, and country roads were there, village roads were there. In less than 3 minutes we were on Olive Avenue. We reached this particular road, and then the horse began to trot. Trotting over horse means the horse started running somewhat. Fine, increased its speed. The air was new and lovely to breathe. It was morning fresh air. The feel of the horse running was wonderful. They were sitting on the back of the horse, and they could feel the horse running. They could feel the horse trotting, and it was a wonderful feeling. They had dreamt of for a long time. My cousin Murad, who was considered one of the craziest members of our family, began to sing. My cousin Murad started singing. I mean, he began to roar. So his singing is being termed as roaring. Actually, he didn't have a pleasant sound, so Murad's singing is being termed as if he was roaring. Roaring is not a pleasant sound, animals roar. Every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere. So here some general things are being shared by the author with us. Author believes, narrator believes that every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere. Crazy streak means a series of some particular kind of thing. So here he wants to point out to a thing that in the chain of families, like your grandfather, your great grandfather, so that is a streak of families, that is a series of families. And he believes that in every family's streak there is a particular person who can be called crazy because of his odd and strange behavior. And my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. So there was a crazy streak in our tribe as well, in our family as well. And at present, in the present generation, our cousin Murad was the natural descendant. Descendant means heir, H-E-I-R, successor. Like you are the heirs of your parents and grandparents, you are the successors of your parents and grandparents. So he was the natural descendant. So the quality of being crazy had been transformed, had been transformed to Murad in our family from our ancestors. Fine. Before him was our Uncle Khosrow, and in the previous generation, Uncle Khosrow was the crazy person, or one of our uncles. He was an enormous man, a big man with big physique, a strong physique, with a powerful head of black hair and largest moustache in the San Joaquin Valley. This was the area altogether they lived in. A man so furious in temper. So uncle is being described here. Uncle Khosrow was a man who was so furious in temper. Furious means who was so wrathful, who was so angry in temper, so irritable. He got irritated easily, so impatient. He didn't have patience. He lost his patience easily, that he stopped from anyone from talking by roaring. He was such a strange kind of a person that he did not tolerate other people speaking in front of him, and he stopped others from talking by roaring. Whenever he happened to find somebody speaking to him, he stopped him and he roared at him by saying, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." This was his pet dialogue. This was his refrain. Let me tell you what is refrain here, my dear students. If a character repeats a particular thing again and again, that becomes his refrain. And what was Uncle Khosrow's refrain? Uncle Khosrow's refrain was that whenever he found somebody speaking, he used to shout at the person and stop him from speaking by saying, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." So this was his pet dialogue. And see the irony. A person who doesn't like others speaking, even at the modest pitch, he himself roars. So it's an irony. You don't like doing something, but you yourself do that thing to the worst level. So that is an irony of the fact that Uncle Khosrow was a person who didn't like others speaking, and he himself used to roar, shout at them by using his refrain. So Uncle Khosrow's personality has been elaborated for us. Uncle Khosrow, was the person who was one of the crazy members of our family, and in our present generation, Murad was the crazy member. So this way that crazy streak has been explained. That was all. No matter what anybody happened to be talking about, whatsoever was the matter of the conversation, he used to say, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." Once an anecdote is being shared, a small real incident is being shared with us to elaborate about Uncle Khosrow's craziness. Once it was his own son Arak, Uncle Khosrow's son Arak, running 8 blocks, crossing eight buildings. Blocks here means buildings. It means he came traveling such a distance to the barber shop where his father was Uncle Khosrow, was having his mustache trimmed. He was getting his mustache trimmed to tell him. So his son Arak came to him to tell him that their house was on fire. Arak came, informed that, "Papa, our house is on fire." This man Khosrow, how did he react? He sat up in the chair and roared as per his characteristic trait, as per his habit. He started roaring, shouting, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." The barber pointed out and made him realize that the boy is talking that your house is on fire and you are saying it's no harm, pay no attention to it. But the boy says, "Your house is on fire, why don't you understand?" So Khosrow roared, "Enough." He even shouted at the barber, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it, I say." So such kind of a crazy person Uncle Khosrow was. My cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of this man. My cousin Murad had got this trait of craziness from this particular uncle of ours. Although Murad's father was Jorab, Murad's father's name was Jorab, who was practical and nothing else. He was not abnormal. He was not crazy. He was quite down to earth and practical person. That's how it was in our tribe. So it can look quite surprising to us that Murad, instead of getting the personality traits of his father, who was quite practical kinded man, who was not crazy, had got the characteristic traits of one of his uncles. This is how it was in our tribe. This was the structure. This was the pattern of our tribe. A man could be the father of his son's flesh, but that didn't mean that he was also the father of his spirit. It means that a person could be the biological father of a boy, but it didn't mean that the person would be getting the personality traits of his father only. This system, this transformation of habits, this transformation of behavioral aspects in a tribe was quite strange, quite bizarre. A man could be the father of his son's flesh, means a person could be somebody's biological father, but it was not mandatory that his son would be getting his personality traits. His son could get the personality trait of any other person in the family. The distribution of various kinds of spirits, the distribution of various kinds of qualities of our tribe had been from the beginning, this entire distribution, this entire transfer of personality traits from forefathers to the successors, from fathers to sons and daughters, this entire thing right from the beginning in our tribe had been quite capricious, had been quite strange. Capricious means illogical, where there is no logic, and vagrant. Vagrant means, that is quite difficult to be understood. That is wandering. That is spreading here and there without any system, unsystematic and capricious. This particular behavior had been in our family. This particular aspect of the transfer of personality traits by from ancestors to the successors, right from the beginning, it had been capricious, illogical, and vagrant means unsystematic. That didn't go into a particular direction. Vagrant means that could go into any direction. A son could get his characteristic trait of his uncle instead of getting characteristic traits of his father. So this is the meaning of vagrant. That doesn't go into a systematic direction. And capricious, I have explained you, illogical, irrational, fine, strange, weird. We rode. So they started riding the horse. Early morning ride was being enjoyed by Murad and Aram. Something has been told to us here about the personality of Murad and his uncle, and we have been told that how the personality traits were transformed from one generation to the other, and what was their system. And Murad was the crazy. Before him, Uncle Khusro was the representative of the crazy streak that the narrator believes to be present in every family. Fine. So we rode and my cousin Murad sang. For all anybody knew, we were still in the old country where, at least according to some of our neighbors, we belonged. So they perhaps might have heard that they belonged to the place where they were. We let the horse run as long as it felt like running. So they left the horse to its will. At last my cousin Murad said, "Get down, I want to ride alone." "Will you let me ride alone?" I asked. Aram asked that after his turn was over, would he be allowed to ride alone? "That is up to the horse," my cousin said. My cousin remarked very cleverly, very wittily, that it depends upon the horse. I can't say. It's not my decision. If horse lets you ride alone, you will also. "The horse will let me ride," Aram said. "Why won't it let me ride if it can let you ride?" "We shall see," he said. "Don't forget that I have a way with the horse." Murad was quite confident in his handling of the horse. He said, "I have a way with the horse. I know how to handle a horse. I know how to tame a horse. But about you, I cannot say. It depends upon the horse." "Well," I said, "anyway you have with the horse, I have also." Aram also bragged, though he hadn't got this opportunity to ride on a horse before. He didn't know anything how the horses behave, but still he also said that he also had an understanding with the horse. He also knew how to handle the horses. "For the sake of your safety," Murad said, "let us hope so. Hopefully you also have a good way. Get down now. It's my turn to ride alone. Let me ride alone." "All right," I said, "but remember, you have got to let me try to ride alone. Don't forget that after your turn is over, it would be my turn." I got down. My cousin Murad kicked his heels into the horse. Kicking the heels into the horse means giving it a signal to start running. Shouted, "Wazire!" He called horse Wazire, "Run!" The horse stood on its hind legs before running. The horses stand on their back legs, that, as you can watch in the picture. Snorted. Horses snort. They produce sound. They snort. And burst into a fury of speed and started riding. It galloped into a fury of speed. It started running fast. That was the loveliest thing I had ever seen. This was a beautiful scene Aram had ever seen in his life. My cousin Murad raced the horse across a field of dry grass. Then it crossed the irrigation ditch. Ditch, I have told you, it's a stream of water that is narrow stream of water that is constructed to irrigate the fields. Crossed the ditch on the horse, and 5 minutes later he returned to where Aram was dripping wet. He was dripping wet because he had crossed the irrigation ditch and some water might have sprinkled on him during the process. The sun was coming up, or it might be sweating. Dripping wet, it might be sweating, or it might be the water that he had got on him while trying to jump over the irrigation ditch. The sun was coming up. Now it's my turn to ride, as had been settled between them that first Murad would ride alone, then he would let Aram ride alone. Now it's my turn to ride, I said. My cousin Murad got off the horse. Ride, he said. Okay. I leaped to the back of the horse. I jumped to the back of the horse, and for a moment knew the most awful fear imaginable. And the moment I was sitting alone on the horse, I could I could imagine a fear that I had never experienced, most frightful fear, most awful fear imaginable that one can ever imagine in his dreams. Such was the fear I could feel sitting alone on the horse. The horse didn't move. Kick into his muscles, my cousin Murad instructed me. It won't move on its own. You need to kick into his muscles.